Castro. No. What you know about rolling down in the deep when your brain goes numb?
Alright, welcome to PBE Rewind, your one-stop shop, all things PBE. Well, we hit the mid-season, and we just completed the AllStar Game, so we could definitely say that the first half of the season is safely in the books. Go ahead and jump right into the standings. Your first big mid-season surprise will have to easily be the New Orleans Rougarous, who have completed the first half of the season as the top team in the East. With an overall record of 41-24, Cancun Toros are 2 games behind them at 36-20. Number 3, we have Sarasota Supernova surprisingly in the third spot with a 33-26, 7 games over 500, with the New York Voyagers 4th place making some headway over the last month, climbing to that 4th spot at 31-34. Providence Crabs are 25-34, and the Outer Banks Aviators at 26-36. We finally have the Indianapolis Apex coming up in the rear at 24-37. Western side of the league, the San Antonio Sloths have maintained the first place spot, going 46-11, over 800 in their winning percentage, with Death Valley at 40-20, 7 games back from first. The Raptors have the third spot at 32-28, with the Nashville Stars climbing in the rankings at 29-32, the Vandals at 25-32, not far behind the Stars, with the Detroit Demons at 23-42, and the Foxes in the rear at 13-45. Taking a quick glance at the wild card race, it's pretty tight there in the middle, with only a few games separating the Supernova from the Raptors and the Voyagers, as well as the Stars who are still in this thing. It'll be interesting in the second half of the season, especially in that Western division, to see how things shake up moving forward. Right along into some player highlights for the month of July. In the first half of the PBE, the hitter of the month of July is Death Valley's Holding a Fart, 25-year-old DH. In the month of July, a Fart had 61 at-bats with 20 hits, 5 home runs, and 15 RBI, batting .328 with a .705 slugging. July's PBE pitcher of the month is New York Voyagers' Kevin Chahote. In the month of July, he started 5 games, going 3-1 with a fantastic 1.25 ERA in 36 innings pitched, allowing only 10 runs with 30 strikeouts. All right, let's move right into the mid-season classic and take a quick look at this year's Season 23 All-Stars. On the Eastern team starting lineup, we have the New York Voyagers center fielder R.J. Menard, Sarasota Supernova second baseman Red Arrow, Toros first baseman Anthony Bauer, New York Voyagers DH Hardin Long, Providence Crabs center fielder Mike Latoris, Cancun Toros right fielder Tilapia Salmons the second, and New Orleans Rougarous shortstop Richie Bonanza. Providence Crabs third baseman has Marcus Reeves, and behind the plate, New Orleans Rougarous Christopher Brew. The starting pitcher for the Eastern Division will be the New York Voyagers' Savart. Eastern has a pretty solid star-studded lineup, but can they take on a pretty also star-studded Western lineup? For the West, we have Death Valley Scorpions first baseman Andrew Abram, San Antonio Sloth left fielder Scott Poe, Death Valley Scorpion second baseman James Love, Death Valley Scorpion left fielder Elliot Lefebvre, San Antonio Sloth DH Tomato Turtle, San Antonio Sloth shortstop Bobby McDonald, and behind the plate, Nashville star Brandon Fry. The starting pitcher for the West will be none other than the Sloth Ryan Rose taking the bump. The Western Division is made up primarily of, no surprise to anybody, a lot of San Antonio Sloths and Death Valley Scorpions, who are the top teams in the division, with a few other players from the other teams sprinkled in. Do they have enough firepower with those 2 top teams in the league to take on a good combination of Eastern All-Stars? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. The Eastern All-Stars took a pretty early lead in the second and third innings, scoring 4 runs in each, scoring off of Western's Molly Mitchell from Detroit, and Death Valley's Harry Styles also giving up 4 runs. The East offensively was led by New Orleans shortstop Bonanza, who had a 4-run RBI home run in the third inning off Henry Styles, and Christopher Brew, the catcher for New Orleans, also getting a home run in the second inning off Molly Mitchell for 3 RBI. The West tried to come back in the ninth, scoring 3 runs with the star second baseman Hunter hitting a home run, knocking in 2 runs. When the dust settled, the Eastern Division's 8 runs in the second and third inning would prove to be enough as they won the game 8-6 over the West All-Stars. First half of the season in the books, reflecting on some surprises. I think the biggest surprise would have to be the New Orleans Rougarous performing like they have in the first half, leading the East Division. Taking a quick glance at New Orleans stats and rankings, they're first in the league with 555 hits, and also first in the league with 244 extra base hits. Mostly, they are 3rd and 4th in most every other hitting category, while pitching-wise, they're in the upper middle in the rankings between 3rd and 6th in most categories, with their strongest category being the bullpen, which is ranked 3rd in the league with an ERA of 2.79. I'm going to be a little bit of a homer here, but the other big surprise would be none other than my Sarasota Supernova, who are 7 games over 500 in the first half of the season and currently 3rd in the division. Taking a quick glance at their stats, they're pretty middle of the road in just about everything, with their best hitting being a on-base percentage of .321, good for 5th in the league, as well as walks with a 218, good for 4th in the league. The thing I think that separates Sarasota this year is the fact that they're generating runs in a different way by getting on base and making the best of when they have players in scoring position. Pitching-wise, they're again middle of the road, with their best being walks, allowing only 156, good for 2nd in the league, and their bullpen ERA 3.54, good for 7th. They're not allowing too many runners free passes and are keeping them on base and not allowing them to score. Having watched many of the games and sims and quick sims, it looks as though Sarasota has done a really good job of winning the tight game. If they continue to do that, we can definitely see Sarasota making a really surprise run in that wild card, and that should be a fun thing to see. Now some not big surprises. Of course, we have the dominance of the San Antonio Sloths, only losing 11 games in the first half of the season. They are on a wrecking path towards another championship if they keep things going in the way that they are going. I said at the top of the show that the Eastern Division will be the division to watch to see how this division pans out in the coming months, and it should be a fun second half, with the New Orleans Rougarous, Sarasota Toros, New York Voyagers all vying for those top spots. It'll be interesting to see how that division plays out in the end. And now we're going to move on over to a fun segment we're bringing back this week. We have Sam with our Minor League Rewind. Take it away, Sam.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year again. We're at the Minor League and Major League PBE All-Star break. So naturally, I figured I should take today's episode to highlight the top 3 best players from each All-Star team, both East and West. Without further ado, let's get right into it. From the East, I'd say the best players are Lucky Luciano, starting pitcher for the Chicago Kingpins, Tex Walker, second baseman for the Kingston Mounties, and Big Chungus, who's a third baseman for the Kingpins. Let's talk about Lucky Luciano first. Lucky Luciano has been an incredibly good player for the Kingpins this year. The pitcher has an amazing undefeated streak, standing at 3-0, and also boasts an amazing 1.27 whip, demonstrating an uncanny ability to send runners back into the dugout. However, where Luciano shines is his strikeouts per 9 and ERA. Luciano has 7.5 Ks per 9, which is absolutely flabbergasting and shows that he's not to be trifled with on the mound. But Luciano also flaunts a 2.63 ERA, the best for a starting pitcher in his division. Luciano is clearly one of the best starters in the league, and with a 7.5 Ks per 9 and sub-3 ERA, he has the stats to back that up. Next up is Tex Walker, who is one of, if not the most dominant players in the minor leagues thus far. Walker has one of the most impressive stat lines by far for a player. Walker has a .333 batting average, one of the best in the division, with a .966 OPS, growing ever closer to that coveted 1,000 plus OPS. But Tex's best stat is his WAR, 3.3. That is by far the best WAR on the Eastern Division team, with second place belonging to the third member of the team that I want to shout out, Big Chungus. Tex has been a very active member of the community who will no doubt be a stud once called up to the Aviators. This is a great way for Tex's final Major League season to end, with an all-star berth and a serious chance at the MVP. The final member of the Eastern team that I want to shout out is the one, the only, Big Chungus. This obese rabbit can ball, and with a .339 average, Chungus can prove it. Big Chungus is a slugger at heart, and with 14 home runs on the year, he knows it. Chungus also has a .552 slugging percentage, which is one of the best in his division, and a 2.2 WAR. Chungus can smack the ball, which is why he gets my bid for one of the best players on the Eastern Division team. But that's it for the East. Now, let's move on to the West. Who are the studs representing the Western Division in this year's All-Star Game? Well, that would be Wander Franco, second baseman for the Anchorage Wheelers, Brentonathan Rembeverwinkle, catcher for the San Bernardino 66ers, and Bill V. Hill, starting pitcher for the 66ers as well. Let's start off with Wander Franco. Wander Franco has been one of the brightest lights on a pretty mediocre Wheelers team this year. Franco is by far their best hitter. He has a .403 batting average, one of epic proportions that is rarely seen in both IRL baseball and PBE baseball. Franco also has a stellar 3.0 WAR this year, which will put him in serious talks for MVP. But where Franco shines the most is his OPS. Franco has the second highest OPS in the entire league at 1.053. He has some of the best batting stats and really overall stats in his class. Truly a sight to behold. Next up is Brentonathan Rembeverwinkle, the man with the longest and most confusing name in the PBE. Brentonathan is by far the best batter in the league, and nobody really comes close besides Wander Franco. Rembeverwinkle has a batting average of .410, which, if I were a betting man, I would say that that's probably the best in minor league history. Rembeverwinkle is an absolute stud. He also has an incredible 170 OPS, the best in the league. He is only one of two members in the minor league PBE with 1,000 OPS or better, the only competitor being Wander Franco. Rembeverwinkle also has a 3.7 WAR, the best in the league. Rembeverwinkle is my pick for midseason MVP, and if he keeps this stellar play up, he'll be my pick for MiLPBE MVP. Now let's get to our final player, Bill V. Hill. Hill has had one of the best rookie seasons I've ever seen. Usually rookie players, especially pitchers in the PBE, kind of just struggle to compete. But Bill the Hill has become an absolute stud for the 66ers rotation, with an 8-1 record, a 2.70 ERA, and a 1.29 WHIP. These are some of the best numbers in the league's history. And Bill the Hill is an extremely good candidate for not only Rookie of the Year, but maybe even Pitcher of the Year if he keeps these numbers up. Well, that's all I got for you this week. I'm Sam for the PBE Minor League Rewind, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Sam. Some fantastic stuff down there in the minor league, as it's just as exciting as we have up here in the major league. Some interesting storylines, games, and everything moving forward. Well, join us next week as we move forward into the second half of the season and recap the first week of Sims. As we try to bring you some more content here at PBE, we're just trying to bring you the funnest and enjoyable shows we can. So thanks for sticking and watching each week. This has been Ioe Torrent. With me, as always, is Sam, and I'd like to also shout out to the other members of the team, Red Arrow and Cowboy, as we bring you PBE Rewind this season. Thanks again. See you next time.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion, yeah.